Guys, welcome to, I would say, the rebirth of Care to Listen. It's been a while.
I think we've had 2 rebirths.
Yeah. Look, man, there's been a lot going on between transitioning from homes.
Yeah.
You had some time away because of your surgery and all that, and recovery. So it's been a long one, but here we are. We always wanted to, of course, still make time to do this. It was just a matter of just doing and less talking. Yeah. So here we are.
We're on the ground level right now. So, you know, there's some YouTubers and vloggers and podcasters that they can look back like 5-7 years and it's kind of like this, where it's like, all right, how do we figure out a way to like make this a consistent thing in our day-to-day lives? And we're trying to find that groove right now. And hopefully in the next 5 years, we can look back and be like, yo, that was some crazy times.
Yeah.
And we were able to pull it together.
Yeah. But the important thing is that we still communicate. We still talk off cam, right?
Absolutely.
And I think everyone should, of course, consider having someone you can reach out to, talk to on a daily basis.
We have podcast sessions on the phone.
I know.
Talking about, all right, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this. And then it's like, yeah, but I got 3 kids. You got kids. We got
they're
so much things
they're teenagers now. And I thought that as they became teenagers, it'd be less, on the calendar for us to do. But I feel like I'm running around even more now, trying to keep up with sports and after school activities, worship groups, all that stuff. So, but man, look, no excuses. Here we are.
Absolutely.
So
we are in September, and so we're mid-September, and I know you're not supposed to really date your podcast, because people are going to watch it in the future.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting time. It is a sad time, and if we talk about it, what month we're in, no matter what you do. And so first I want to say, my condolences, our condolences to Charlie Kirk and his family. No matter how you feel about Charlie Kirk, nobody should have to deal with that. No. Nobody's kids should have to deal with that, and nobody's wife should have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And then the other part is like the world shouldn't have witnessed that.
Yeah.
We weren't supposed to see that. That amount of trauma to an entire nation. So just want to put that out there first.
Well, also, and highlight, especially because I think this one kind of hit home. We're here in Charlotte, and we had that incident on the train where the young Ukrainian woman was stabbed.
Yeah.
No idea why it happened, but that hit home. So prayers to her family.
Absolutely.
Having to hear that, see that, because that went live, dude. That was everywhere.
Yeah.
But even some of the things that weren't necessarily getting so much news coverage last week, but that still took place, was the Colorado shooting. There was a gentleman out in Dallas that got beheaded. Last week was crazy, man. Last week was crazy. Yeah. A lot of this was happening.
Those would have been top stories. Like,
all this was happening while the Charlie Kirk situation occurred, man. So, we got to pray, man. We got to pray for unity in this country. Facts that I just found out about this last Sunday was actually probably record sky numbers in churches, right? From individuals attending because of what happened with Charlie Kirk.
Right.
And what happened to Charlie Kirk was on 9/10 or 9/9, I think. And then you had 9/11, right? 25-year anniversary or something like that. I don't even consider it an anniversary, but it's 25 years since that situation.
Yeah.
I just hate that it has to happen, right, in these circumstances. It takes a nationwide, problem for the world to finally react, for the world to move, for people to finally walk into a church.
Yeah.
So I just hope, man, that, this was a wake-up call for a lot of people, and I hope that we can still continue to fuel ourselves to walk in and get right with God. There's obviously a lot of conversation around the end of times, and we've been hearing this since I was a kid. I'm sure, back when our parents were children, they were still hearing that. But, I think it's becoming more and more evident. A lot of things are lining up with scripture and stuff. But, instead of trying to figure out when God is coming, just get right with him today, right now.
I heard he's supposed to come in next week or something like that.
During the Feast of Trumpets, which is what you put me on to.
Yeah, but you say put me on to, like, I don't believe that that's what's happening. At all.
Yeah.
So that's
sure.
what people are saying. Like the Feast of Trumpets, the blood moon, all these different things. It's like, this is why we believe his return is near.
Yeah.
And I guess with the Feast of Trumpets, they didn't know when the Feast of Trumpets was.
Yeah.
It was all based on the moon. It was based on it was based on the blood moon.
Yeah.
And you don't know when that day is.
Yeah.
And so that's the most I know about it, but that's why they say when he says no man knows the day or the hour, that they're referencing to that, but that's not something that I believe.
I didn't even know what it was until I asked you, because I was already, hearing about it. So and I want to get back to this Charlie Kirk situation. But before we do that, where you at in your walk? I mean, what's the year look like for you? How's business and how's life? How's your relationship with God right now?
So one thing that I would say right now is I think that I want to say that I'm confused. I'm in a state of confusion, not about my relationship with God. Like
confused or conflicted?
There's so much stuff going on right now that I feel confused and maybe conflicted at the same time. Not with my walk with Christ, because I think that's part of solid. I believe Christ. I believe He died for my sins. But as I read the Word, it's like a lot of things are not lining up with our current Western church. And it's like, so it makes me think a lot. I'm normally just a thinker. Like I think constantly, all the time, and ask so many questions. And there's so many questions that I don't have answer. So I try to keep a positive heart, when it comes to that, because when I see people misusing or mishandling the Word of God, it's like I kind of get upset. I don't know if that's a righteous upset or what. And I said sometimes I'll be feeling like Jonah. I'll be having to pray against the heart of Jonah, like, God, they don't deserve it. They don't deserve it, Lord. But then I gotta remember, I don't deserve it either at the same time. So, but I still try to find some clarity and try to ask God for wisdom as I navigate this world that we're in right now. And what's right, what's wrong, and how to move. So.
I know we talked about this a lot off cam. I think I'm in a season where I hate the things that God hates, but I am struggling and I'm trying to get to the place where I love the things that God loves. I think I've taken some of these things that I've observed very personal. And, I know it reflects on how I treat those around me for sure, but it draws me closer to God. It makes me want to, dive even deeper. But I'm at a place where I don't want to let anyone else in because of that, right? Because I just feel like I have zero tolerance. I have no patience for stupidity, right? For ignorance. And I say that because it's one thing, right? If someone unknowingly hurts you, right? If someone unknowingly, does something, right? But when you're someone that's seasoned, when you're someone that's walked this walk for a long time, and then you intentionally run in this direction, man, it's hard for me to connect with that. You know what I'm saying? And I know we all have our own struggles, right? And I don't mean in forms of I don't mean it's an addiction and you relapse. I'm not talking about something like that. I'm talking about, what we already do see, right? And on this side of the world with Christianity and how we practice out our faith day to day. You knowingly know God's word and yet you twist and turn it, however you see fit into your life. You want to compartmentalize God into your life versus you, adjusting and living to His will. And I can't rock with that, man. For me, even before this walk, I never tolerated having certain people around me that I just felt like I couldn't trust or that were very fickle. And I don't feel like I need to tolerate that now just because, I'm walking with Christ. So, I don't know, man.
But God could also be using that to reveal some stuff inside of you. And the things that bother you. It's like, all right, why do these things bother me? Because I know when it comes to me, God is probably revealing my own heart as to why are you offended by these things? Right. And so I have to process those things. It forces me to process it if I'm going to walk in the Spirit, right? It says if we walk in the Spirit, you won't gratify the lust of the flesh. And so it forces me to process those thoughts and like kind of weed out the negatives in those thoughts. Like I can still be mad about certain things, but then it causes me to weed out certain angers and hates and things that I shouldn't be thinking. I'm able to do that in those situations, you know?
Yeah. You know, I had a conversation actually just today, matter of fact, with my mother, man. You know, she was telling me that a church that she attends, you know, back in New York, she ran it by me because she said that it bothered her and that it just didn't sit right with her. And she's always been a woman of God, but one thing with her is that she's never really read much on her own. And so she knows that me, you know, when I started really walking with Christ, I had to read for myself. I can't really trust something that I can't quite understand. I can't take another man's word for it. So, you know, because I spent a lot of time reading, she wanted to run it by me. And pretty much what she was being told, right, the women in this church, in this congregation, were that if you are divorced today, right now, right, then you cannot remarry, because if you remarry, you're committing adultery.
Right.
Because you're still what?
Married to the
previous individual.
Right.
Even if that previous individual like committed adultery. Right. And was unfaithful to you, and you chose to part ways with that, and then, you know, you got divorced, you went through the whole process. And then you remarry, you're still living in sin. And that upset me.
Right.
That upset me because you're talking about a woman, you know, who, you know, has dedicated her whole life to the church, and then to be condemned like that, you know what I mean? Or told like, oh, well, you know, once you get through this, you can't remarry, because if so, then you're living in sin. You're committing adultery.
Even if they know that there was adultery, because that's the only one of the ways to be out of a marriage is because somebody committed adultery. So does she know that part at least? Okay.
Yeah. So she does know that part. She just doesn't know how to combat, right? Someone in that leadership position, right?
Yeah.
With the actual word, like the text. And so I'm like, no, that's not right. No, that's not right at all. And I just, you know, it frustrates me, because it reminds me, like, how many more times are we hearing, you know, things like this in the church?
Yeah.
These leaders, man, they're just twisting and turning things.
That's why we just have to read on our own, study to show yourself approved.
Yeah.
Because the pastors can say whatever they want. Like, if you don't know it for yourself, then they can lead you whatever way they want. And it's been done time and time again.
Yeah.
You know, pastors saying that, you know, oh, you have to sleep with me in order to have a blessing. And women are doing it. Or, you know, you have different cults out there that they're going based on the Bible, but people don't read, so they just go along with it.
Yeah.
And so if you want to,
the mega church pastor that got caught up with charges, I think the FBI was investigating him.
Yeah.
What's that about? Are you familiar with that case?
The black dude?
Yeah.
So I remember back in the day when he had a deposition, and they were asking him about how he was using the funds for the church. So because he was buying luxury clothing,
he's got a big
luxury house.
Yeah.
He was basically scamming and buying all this luxury stuff and saying it was for the church, right? And so that's the part I know that he got caught up with. I don't know if there was anything else there or sexual or anything of that sort. Sure. I haven't read about it yet. But he's the same guy that was like, oh, I went to heaven and I sat on God's lap.
No way.
And so people follow us like, yo, we gotta wake up. Like,
man.
I don't know. I just feel like I can sense a fraud from a mile away. Like when I heard him, I automatically was like, this dude is.
I'm getting better with that.
Okay.
I think I've always had a good sense of discernment with. I've always had a good sense of discernment with people around me, but now along this walk, you know, because I'm unfamiliar with some of it. That's my daughter. Boy, stay out of her DMs. Slap you. What was I saying?
Spotting the fraud.
Yeah, I've always had good discernment, right, about someone or something, and, you know, just places I shouldn't be and people I shouldn't hang with. But I've questioned that since I started this walk because it's new to me, right? Like I just want to make sure like this isn't just, me being, ignorant in my own ways or stubborn or and I just want to make sure that I'm still being led right. But I'm noticing and picking up on some of that myself, especially I think it's because I read. Because I read, it helps me also decipher. That's not quite, what he said. What's the agenda here then?
Right. Exactly.
Right? What's your motive?
And you got to give people grace for like messing up or making a mistake.
Sure.
And, maybe they comprehended something wrong. But when there's like a huge gap in what they're saying, and it's like, that's not biblical at all.
Yeah.
And those are the parts you gotta keep an eye on.
Yeah.
You gotta keep an eye on when it's constant too.
Yeah.
So everybody's gonna make mistakes, but when it's like constant and your flock is not even checking it, that's where there's an issue at,
Yeah. So. Got a new song out. You've heard it, Hazel Eyes.
Yeah.
All right.
Dope.
Thank you. I heard some testimonies from people in regards to that song.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna put that song out either. Mm-hmm. And honestly, even when I wrote the song, I didn't know what I was creating until I got to the end. Like I just was like, okay, this sounds good. Let me put. Oh, you know what? This, all right, maybe I'll write with this message. And when I put it out, I had several people just randomly, man, hit me up about the level of vulnerability on the record.
Yeah.
And I think that was, to me, it was a highlight for sure, because I think I remember telling you this maybe about a year ago. I like writing records that are very conscience, right, heavy. I'm a thinker just like you. And I had this producer tell me, yo, why are you always making these type of sounds, man? And I'm like, this is what I feel that I'm good at. This is what I feel like. This is how I like to, to let my ink bleed. So he's like, oh, no, you gotta make records like this and that. And I'm like, that's what those artists are for. Mm-hmm. If you're comparing me and you want me to make music like him, go listen to that individual.
Right.
Besides, other than that, like this is what you get.
Right.
And so, it helps me stick to what I do because of those sort of, testimonies that I've heard, man. And I've actually heard one specific one from a grown man. Mm-hmm. Grown man is going through a divorce right now and is in a midlife crisis. He's somewhere, I think, I would assume he's probably gonna be like in his late 40s, early 50s. Yeah. It's just not quite sure where to go from here. And so he started leaning on the bottle because of it. So he's always been a believer, but he's been leaning on the bottle, right, for comfort lately instead of God. And so he reached out to me via social media and stuff and was just sharing some things with me. And I just thought it was so dope that he had a chance to listen to the song, that the song was even heavy enough to move him to tears and stuff like that, to contact me.
That's awesome.
I take joy in that, man.
Yeah.
I take joy in that. But I've also run into some roadblocks.
Why?
Because, man, this is one of those things where, like, what I'm saying, like, I hate the things that God hates, but I'm trying to find love, right, and compassion for the things that God does.
Right.
There's a lot of gatekeepers.
Yeah. Talk about it.
There's a lot of gatekeepers, man. I've been in contact with a few artists and producers, and I'll be honest, I'm surprised. I didn't think that in this Christian industry, it'd be no different from the mainstream side. Right. Right. Those that know me know that in like between 2012 2014, I had a little run on the mixtape scene. And so, I've been in rooms, with some people who are really big today, actually. But the conversations, the attitude, right, the business ethics and all that then are still applied in this Christian industry, man. Right. And to me, it's sickening. Because at the end of the day, I don't recall Jesus having a hat out asking for change when he was spreading the gospel, right? Mm-hmm. Like salvation is free. Right. You know what I'm saying? I understand that we all have a roof over our head to maintain and obligations. But if you already get that right from one source, why do you feel that it's the need? Why do you feel that the need to charge, right, or add fees to all these other additional activities, right? Like fellowshipping shouldn't cost you a thing except time. Right. It shouldn't be where I have to pay you to go sit down and have a conversation. Your ideas, whatever you say, can't be more valuable than mine. That's just where I'm at.
So it's like the the act of meeting up with somebody just to like pick their brain and unpick your brain.
Yeah, bouncing ideas, man. Bouncing ideas. Even making the connection. Like if I want to get to this individual, right, to collaborate with, I have to contact this person first.
Yeah,
but
it's all business, strictly business.
This person, right,
yeah,
wants a cut before I can even make contact with that person. What are we doing? Right? Like that ain't ministering. Like, so this is a business then. So where's God involved in any of it? Right? We're removing God from it. And the way I see it is like it's wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Like hip hop at this point is turned into wrestling, and the Christian community has also, been a part of that now.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone's masked. You have a lot of retired, individuals that might have been very excellent in one, area of their career, but because that time was up, hey, let me go now tap into this side, right? Because this has a new, fresh following that I can, gain from. That's sick, bro.
Yeah.
I can't rock with that. I can't rock. It's the reason why when I first got back into this, I insisted like I won't compromise, my values. Like, can I make some calls, right, and get like a great singer on a hook or some, great engineers to work with that I've worked with in the past? Absolutely. I had one hit me up while he was on tour.
Right. When
I first released the first record. But I said no because, like, what's your walk like? You know what I'm saying? Where's the fruit? Like, if we're not like-minded, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. Right. If I'm willing to compromise that today from the ground level, what am I willing to give up, if I ever get to that point? Like, at that point,
somebody offering you millions of dollars.
The lines are blurred. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But I feel like a lot of these guys have. And they've become gatekeepers now where it's like they're benefiting so much from so many different sources that no one else below them, right, can meet them there at the top. And I think it's because they'll be exposed in doing so. This won't become any more about Christ. It'll be more about like, okay, you're a wolf in sheep's clothing and you've been benefiting off of the people of God, the children of God. Right. I think that's what it'll come down to.
And I think some people have been exposed already, and
they're going to continue to.
Yeah.
Because everything comes to light.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But,
I think that because that is the way it is, I think at this point, just you be the example in the situation, because you can't change that situation right now.
Right.
Not right away, but over time, I think you could by, all right, you got skills that somebody else who's coming up is on the rise that you may be able to collaborate with, or you may be able to, share some knowledge and wisdom with them about, how to make it in this industry. Yeah. And kind of just be that example, because, and the other thing is you might not even want to work with those people anyways. Right. But, if that's how they are, do you even want to work with them?
Right.
Right. Maybe maybe you create your own lane. Because even the music that you make, like you said, is more conscious. It's more like you talking about something impactful.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that's out there, and I'm not saying everybody, but it's kind of like it's entertainment music. It's just for entertainment.
Yeah.
And so maybe you just keep carving out that lane.
My wife is part of the worship team, and they were having a gathering just a few weeks ago. And they were talking about where's their stance on artists that write songs, sing songs about the testimony and stuff. And one of the people on the team had said, as long as it doesn't become a pity party, right? And I just thought that was such a negative outlook on it.
What do you mean a pity party?
Like where you make it all about like their suffering in the trial, right? And then you spend the last maybe 4 verses, right? Kind of really just explaining God's hand in all of it and delivering you from it. And I think that's just such a negative outlook on it, because at the end of the day, like there's so many testimonies out there, right? You might have had, a similar walk with like someone else, in the same neighborhood, whatever, but your experience was slightly still different, right? Which makes it unique to you. Yeah. And you can't just bypass that. You can't overlook that, because then that individual is going to feel like everything they've been through was for nothing. Right. All right. And that's what I like to emphasize on is like, no, everything you went through, even if it's similar to maybe some of the things I've been through, it's unique to you. It still needs to be heard. It still needs to be shared. Right. Because someone can relate to that.
I think stories are impactful. Yeah. Right. So if somebody hears your story through your music, they can resonate with that. And now you guys have a common bond. So the message that you're trying to get to them is received a lot better and can have an impact on them. That's the whole point. Like, that's why God said, go and make disciples. Like, go and, talk to them, go and sit with them, go and conversate, go and eat with them, have these conversations and find the common ground. So now you guys are bonded in some way. And that's why I said it's the goodness of God that leads us to repentance, right? So if you could tell somebody your story and then tell them how God brought you out, that's the goodness of God.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to lead other people. So they got to hear the story.
I agree.
They got to.
I agree. That's why, like, at least in this genre, for instance, there's only so many ways you can express thanks and gratitude and stuff. And maybe, that comes with maturity and growth and things like that. And as long as, maybe, the Holy Spirit continues to use one as an instrument, you'll get there. But until then, this is what I know, baby. Like, I got to tell it how it is and what I've been to, where I'm at, and where I intend to go as long as God allows me to. So, That's dope. Moving on, what are your thoughts? I recently heard someone say this, and I read comments before I even listen to like someone's review on anything. I got to read the comments because I need to see if I'm the only one crazy in the room, right? Thinking this way. But there was an incident at 2819, right, where a woman was in the crowd, right? I forgot her name, but she calls herself a prophet, right? And so she was addressing the community in the church and stuff. But someone in the comment section said that the moment that someone titles themselves such, right, like that should be already a red flag.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I kind of always thought that way too. Like,
once somebody titles themselves a prophet or a prophetess?
Yes, a prophet, a healer, whatever these gifts are. Right? To me, that's a red flag. But am I tripping? Am I wrong for thinking that?
Growing up, I didn't even think about it. Like, somebody said that they were this, a prophet, prophetess, a healer and whatever. I just rolled with it. But as I got older, I understand, like, how manipulative it can be, right? And I can't really determine, like, all right, is this person hearing from God or not? Because this person said they're hearing from God, but they're hearing this. But this person, I'm gonna just find out what the word says. And
good.
Just
So all right. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't the only one thinking that way. Because that's my stance on it. Is like, I don't know, man. I think when it comes to spiritual gifts, especially, I don't think that. I think we throw around those titles too loosely. Like, it's not the same as saying a husband or father. Like, that's a mission, right? Like, that's your mission as as an individual. That's what God's called you to be. Now, if He's gifted you with with healing or prophecy and things like that, I think that should be observed based on doing, right? Like acting on those things versus just putting yourself on social media as so and so the prophet and and then going out here and, like you said, just making very broad statements and claims, right? That at this point, it's just generalization. Like, no duh. Like, if you look at the stock market, if you study it long enough, where it's gonna go. Like, it's no different, man.
And I'm not saying that God doesn't give people words. Like, God does give people words, but it's just hard to trust who is actually getting that word. That's why I'm like, it's just better off, like, I can just do it for myself, read for myself. And I feel like God has given me words too, but it's not like, I feel like there's a lot of narcissist people out there that they want the platform. Social media has made it so easy for people to just jump out and just say that they're a prophet or a prophetess. They get so much attention from it. They put their biases in it as well. That's the other thing. It's like, don't put if it's from God, don't put your bias. I shouldn't know from a prophet, like who I should be voting for. Right? Like, I've heard prophecies like, oh, God is saying vote for Trump. And I'm like, this political kingdom, this whatever y'all think is going on, this is not the kingdom of God. It's not.
Let me ask you this. How do you know the difference between a dream and a vision? I asked because I had someone, I bring that up because it aligns with these self labels, right? There's an individual that claims that he has visions often, right? And so when I met him, within just a few weeks of knowing him, he said, I had a vision. We built a church together, and that you were running the whole worship team, and all the lighting and the production and this and that. And I'm like, okay. Like he really tried to sit me down and have like a very serious conversation about this, right? And really try to say that it was a vision from God, right?
Right.
The same dude doesn't even have a relationship with God, right? Like he knows of God. I think he has reference, but he's clubbing, he's smoking. You know what I mean? Like he's fornicating, he's doing all the wrong things. So I'm like,
yeah.
And then he kept coming around more and more with like, I got a vision. Eventually, I started just distancing myself because I'm like, I think there's a little nut in the head. But you'll be like, I'm not surprised. Honestly, this happens all too often in different settings, even in the church.
Yeah, so, I mean, okay, funny. I think for one, if he's not walking with Christ, like, I don't think you should have to. I wouldn't receive anything from that person.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody wants to give me wisdom, that's different.
Yeah.
But if they're like, I feel like I have this vision, it's like, well, if you're not a follower of Christ, where did you get this vision from? First of all. Second of all, why didn't God tell me? Yeah. Why would he tell you before he tells me?
Right.
But when it comes to like prophesying and visions and things like that, like people can have dreams.
Yeah.
And they can be prophetic dreams. That's possible. People can have visions. That doesn't mean the vision is true or from God.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to, like, for instance, if you, a man of God, if God tells you something and he wants you to speak into my life about it.
Yeah.
And what you speak into my life actually happens, right? Then I'm like, yo, God really talked to you because it's on a person level.
Yeah.
When you speak to a crowd, when you speak into the internet as a prophet, that's not verifiable. It's not. You know what I mean? Because it just isn't. Back in the old days when you had both Elijahs, they knew that God was speaking through them because fire came out of heaven.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
These crazy things happened, and it was things that they spoke. Other sorcerers, people, what is it? Psychics. Yeah. Other psychics were, they were being destroyed by what the prophet was saying back then. And so, I don't know. I think like if it was back in the day, and they had phones, I think a lot of the prophets that we have now would be on that side, and there would be one Elijah. That's my opinion on that.
Yeah. That's good. No, that's good. Talk to me. Well, first off, right, so about the 2019 situation, have you looked into it?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
Where you at with it?
So I think the lady.
Have you heard of this woman before? I've never heard of her.
Yeah, I've heard of her before.
Okay.
Because she considers herself a prophetess.
Right.
She hears from God.
Right.
And she's prophesied and she's been wrong.
Okay.
And that's the other crazy part, when they're wrong.
Yeah.
And it's like, how you gonna spin this? Like Marcus Rogers, him, declaring Trump. God told him that Trump is gonna win the election in 2020, and then he loses.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, no, I didn't mean like this election. I was just mean in general. Like, bro. Yeah. And that's how you lose credibility in the end, when you do stuff like that. So it's better off just don't even say, like, just say the word.
Yep.
But anyways, with her, some of the things that she believes, it is a lot of Old Testament stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not in disagreement completely with like the stuff that she believes in, because she does have some Hebrew traditions in there, and I'm not opposed to all of that. But I think they want to make it they tie it to salvation, like it's a salvation issue. If you don't, if you're not sacrificing, if you're not, doing these things that the Levitical priests used to do, in the Old Testament, and it's like that's a little bit outlandish. That's what Christ came for. He removed that because he took on those roles in his own body. But her calling out the church, her calling out, because there's a there's a feeling right now in the Western church is like, I can do what I want to do and then come to church and somebody will inspire me, like, give me a inspirational word. And then I go out of the church and then I go back to my old ways because I can, I can just come back to Christ anytime. Right. And while Christ does have grace, it's like we need to be preaching against like sin. Like, we need to be preaching against sin inside of the church. And so we need to be preaching against sin inside of the church. I think that when I hear Philip Anthony Mitchell, when he preaches, I think he does preach against sin. Like, I think I hear him a lot, like saying we got to be real. We got to do what God is, or hate the things that God hates, and remove the sin from our lives. I think that
he does emphasize a lot on wringing out those things, right? Man, he said one thing too that I did connect with, which is like just getting to a point where you're so upset, right, at those initial thoughts coming through your mind, and like, man, I just prayed. Why did that even cross my mind? You get upset about it genuinely, and you have to wring that stuff out of you. Like I heard the saying, you can't prevent, birds flying over your head, but you can stop them from creating a nest.
Yeah.
And so, I do like that about him. I just, when she had those outbursts, one, I don't think she was acting by the Spirit, because you wouldn't disrupt something like that, right?
But with Jesus,
he flipped the tables,
right?
but then Paul also says, like, especially with a church leader, you pull them aside, right? First, like that should be the first point of contact. It's like addressing them on the side. She just outburst in front of the whole service, right? In the middle of already a sermon.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, I don't think that she's calling Philip Anthony Mitchell, right, as someone who's placing himself on a platform for people to praise him. I think what she's telling is the church to repent for those who go there to just listen to him and look up to him versus going to God and reading the word for themselves. Right? Like, I don't think that she was saying, no, he's a false prophet. I think she was just telling, like, hey, for those in this church that look up to this man, realize that he is only man, right?
Yeah.
And he's not God. I think that's where the message got mixed up.
I don't know.
I think either way the setting was wrong. I think that either way
it was out of order. You know, it was out of order. But her conviction, or the people that believe what she believes, their conviction is the same conviction that Philip Anthony Mitchell has.
Yeah.
Right? They just have it with certain things, other things that he doesn't consider sin. Right? And so, for instance, the Sabbath.
Yeah.
He doesn't consider a sin. Right? But to them, they do consider a sin to not honor the Sabbath on a Saturday or Friday to Saturday. Right? And so the same conviction that he has, they have about that. So when they're like, you're a false teacher because you're teaching people that they don't have to honor the Sabbath.
Yeah.
And so, there's a couple things on that list that they feel that he doesn't agree with. You know what I mean?
And then this is going to segue into Charlie Kirk, right? Do you feel like, though, this is the problem, right? With Christians is like we're so microscopic, right? With the little things like that. Sure, details matter, but does it change your walk with Christ? Because this is one of the reasons why Islam, for instance, has like the highest conversion rate around the world. They have the highest, right?
Yeah.
They are transitioning the most people
right.
all around the world, and it's because they're not spending their time debating with one another. Instead, they're on one mission, one accord. At what point does it matter or become a distraction?
I think that the Bible talks about,
like, does it define you or does it distract you? I guess is the better question.
Does what define or distract you?
Getting to the details.
I think there's the milk of the word, right? The milk of the word, the Bible talks about it being Christ crucified.
Yeah.
Died for our sins, rose, again, and has provided salvation to us, right? And then also love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love your neighbor as much as you love yourself.
Yeah.
And on these laws, like everything hangs, like all the other laws hang off of that, right? If you can honor those things, right? That's the milk of the word. That's the simplicity of it, right? If you do that, you're going to be on your way to salvation, if you will. Like that's the will of God. And also, help the widow, stand up for the oppressed, help the fatherless, feed the poor. Those are the things that we're called to do. So if you can just take those things, wrap them up in a ball and say, this is how I'm going to live my life, I think that's what is going to grant us salvation.
But the part where you're saying as far as like help the oppressed, that's where it gets complex. That's when it gets complicated because everyone today is a victim. You know what I mean? So it's like the person you think you might be running to help might be the aggressor, might be the one who started something, right? Might be the one that has been put in that position because of their doing. And then I have heard that sometimes it's best not to get involved with something that God's already working, right? Like a lesson that he's trying to show or demonstrate through that situation, because then you're only going to make it worse.
Before you get to that point, because then I'll kind of connect it.
Yeah.
When I was saying like this ball of like what God has told us to do, and that's the milk of the word, right? Just because you're following that equals that gives you salvation.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always mean that you're going to be super effective, right? Or your doctrine, right?
Yeah.
You may have salvation, but in your doctrine, you might not be as effective in the body of Christ, in my opinion, right? So, for instance, there's people that honor the Sabbath, right?
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, it's an amazing thing because they're literally resting on a day, rejuvenating their mind on a day, not working, honoring God in that day, spending time with their family, doing stuff with their family on a day. And so what that does is that builds them up, right?
Yeah.
So the Christian church, we don't really honor the Sabbath.
Right.
We go to, we may go to church on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then we go out to eat. We do whatever.
Yeah.
On Sunday, but there's honoring the Sabbath is completely different.
Yeah.
That person who's honoring the Sabbath may be more impactful in the kingdom because one, they're taking care of their body. They're taking care of their mind. They're taking care of all these different things. So that gives them an edge on people who are not doing it. That doesn't mean that you've lost salvation. Yeah. That just means you might not be as effective in that because of that.
Right.
Another example, I don't eat pork, right?
Yeah.
It's not a salvation thing.
Yeah.
Somebody who does will still go to heaven.
Yeah.
And have salvation.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to your physical body, I may have a edge on that person.
Yeah. Live an extra 10, 15 years.
Huh?
Live an extra 10, 15 years.
Right. And be more impactful in that area. Yeah. And so there's so many little different things. Like the lady, she doesn't celebrate Christmas.
Yeah.
Right. She feels like it's honoring it's honoring other gods.
Yeah.
Right. And I kind of agree with her. That's my stance on it. But is she being obedient to the word?
Yeah.
Some people argue she's not. Some people argue that it's not that serious.
It's not
right?
a salvation issue.
But to her, she's like, I'm being obedient.
Yeah.
And in the Bible, it says to those who consider it sin, it is sin. Right. So if she celebrates.
Yeah. Okay.
Or if she celebrates it, to her, that's going to be sin in her eyes.
Okay.
And so that's what I'm saying. Like people have all these different opinions.
Yeah.
Your opinion and what you do and how you're obeying God is going to determine how you're an impact on the world as well.
Yeah.
So
no, you make a good point. I think the only line that shouldn't be crossed though is pushing those opinions, right, that you have onto others. Like I don't know many people that would sit in a room and be coached on how they should be parenting their children. Like we're all going to immediately be like, put that wall up. I know how to raise my kids. I know I'm better than you. Don't tell me how to raise my kids.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that we need to be vigilant in those matters too when it comes to this, because if we get too deep into that debate, then it does become, conflicting, and it could cause division. We see it now. We see it in the church now, right? Like, one verse you like to quote a lot is about the wheat and the tares and stuff like that. But ultimately that's up to Jesus, right? When he comes to separate the two, it's not up to us. So until then, we've got to. If we continue to entwine, so be it.
Yeah.
Right. It's up to him to pull, and burn and all that stuff and dispose of after.
Yeah.
We have to find a way, man, to just not ignore, but be gentle and loving and still supportive with one another in regards to our differences. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, as long as, we're all following Christ, that's what matters most. You know this about, what, year and a half, 2 years ago, I got into a debate. Unintentionally, I got into a debate with a gentleman about keeping the Sabbath, keeping it out of all things. Me and him don't talk today because of it. All right. He tried to make it where it's a salvation issue. Right. I'm still learning. I'm still going, but I'm like, it just doesn't quite sit right with me. I get your point, and I'm working my way towards that, but I don't think it's a salvation issue. And he disagreed with me so much that we don't talk to this day for it.
Right.
And what I was trying to share with him, because I know him, from the streets, I'm like, look, I just love that you're even walking with Christ today. Like, let's celebrate that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to get into all this dip back and forth about keeping the Sabbath. Like, when that time comes, it's great. But until then, bro, like, I'm just glad you walking.
Here's my thought is like God is so gracious, right? And that he said that these are the laws.
Yeah.
My laws is to love your neighbor, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, right?
Yeah.
Help the oppressed, and I just listed all those. Help the oppressed, feed the needy.
Yeah.
Stand up for justice, and help the fatherless, right?
Yeah. Say it again. Say it again, because I just shared with you a week or two ago about something that was said in regards to me as a human being today, right? And how I come up short in some areas of my life.
Yeah.
But just because it doesn't align with maybe the way they do things.
Yeah.
And to me, that's disrespectful, because I have my kids, right? I show them affection in different ways.
Right.
And I'm gonna do the same with everybody around me. Just because I'm not like warm, inviting, and welcoming, right, everyone into my home, doesn't mean that I don't genuinely care.
Right.
There's been numerous times, right, where I will feed someone that I feel like I need to, help out, or I'll pull over for someone on the side of the road. Whatever it is, I've always done it. I don't even hesitate.
Right.
If it's money, I don't even care. It's just money to me. Whatever those terms are.
Yeah.
But just because I don't volunteer my time for things where I don't see it's kingdom work, does not mean that I'm coming up short.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't think you should feel bad about that, because we do all have our own lane and where God is, kind of directing us, and what God puts on your heart, and to have an impact on the kingdom. So, and there's also, cultural differences, like of people may feel like this is the way, right? Or you should do it this way. I mean, if you even talking about how to discipline kids, one culture might say, don't whoop them. The other culture might say, yeah, you're going to have to whoop them, right? So who are they to tell you in that situation how to do that? Right. You know what I mean? But you said, say it again, help the widow, feed the poor, stand up for the oppressed, stand up for justice.
Yeah.
So
stay on that one.
Okay.
With everything that happened with Charlie Kirk.
Wait, you take. Hold on, not yet, because I'm going somewhere.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
So, you made me forget, son of a. Because remember, he said that. Oh, I was saying God is so gracious, right? Because these are the things He told us to do.
Yeah.
Heal the sick, help the widow, help the fatherless, stand up for injustice, stand up for the oppressed, right? He said, just do these things. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah.
Because he knew ahead of time that when the temples were destroyed, that Israel will go through, be taken throughout all the nations, right? Their culture will be ripped away from them.
Yeah.
Their rituals will be ripped away from them. The way they knew God would be taken away from them, and they'd be given something different, right? So even when it comes down to the Sabbath, right, that comes from the Roman Catholics, where they changed it. They're like, you're not even allowed to have worship on the Sabbath, Friday to Saturday. They made it a law to say that you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Right? Because they wanted to strip it away. God knew that their culture would be stripped away.
Right.
And that we'd be in these situations where we don't know every single law or every single way we're supposed to, follow the word, right?
Okay.
But if you do those things, God is like, that's worshiping me in spirit and in truth.
Yeah.
So no matter what all these things are going on, worship me in spirit and in truth in these ways, and that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Here's my other thought is that it says knowledge will abound. In the latter days, knowledge will abound. There'll be more information. And I think that as we gain more information based on how God wanted us to do it in the first place, I think we should begin to adjust how we look at these things.
Yeah. I mean, that leaves room for very little human error, right? Like willingly some of these things now, you should be avoiding them.
Yeah.
That's good. That's true. So you mentioned one of the things being, was it seek justice or stand on justice?
Seek justice.
So seek justice. With what happened to Charlie Kirk, I'm gonna say, and I hope that it's only gonna make more believers be bold and courageous, right?
Okay.
To speak the truth.
Okay.
Regardless of what comes with it. But where's your stance on everything that happened?
Well,
let me rephrase that question.
Okay.
What do you think of how the church is reacting
That's a good question.
to the incident?
So I think that the only problem that I really do have, because I have sympathy and empathy for the fact that what happened was horrible.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't like the fact that the church has made him a martyr. Every church is saying he's a martyr. He was a speaker of truth.
Yeah.
He was a speaker of the word, right? I don't consider him to be a martyr. Some of the things that he said, just by looking at the fruit of the things that he said, I don't agree with, right? I think he said a lot of derogatory things. And even in the things that I do agree with him in, a lot of times when he would say those things to people, it was more like belittling those people. It was more like I want to own the libs, basically.
I've definitely seen some of those clips. I mean, I've been watching a lot of his stuff very early on. But by definition, the word martyr means a person who is killed or made to suffer because of their religious or other beliefs. So you don't think he was martyred for his belief?
I don't think he was martyred for his religious belief.
Even if there's new information where, I guess they found they can read through the messages, right, of his of the gentleman who pulled the trigger and stuff, and then a friend of his or a partner or something like that, whatever it is. And then along those messages, the reason he said he killed Charlie Kirk was because he was spreading hatred or something like that, or hate.
Right.
So you don't think that maybe that's translated to his religious stance on things? Because just because we talked about this, he lacked empathy.
Yeah.
Right? He lacked empathy. He wasn't, I don't think, someone that can emotionally connect with people. He lacked emotional intelligence, for sure. But he was young. He's 31 years old, right, when he passed. So I think that maybe eventually he would have gotten there. But I think that he was very clear on his stance on, what he believes in, on biblical truths. And he debated with that, willingly, if you think about it, right, in the beginning, it was very much open and willingly at these universities to undo a lot of the brainwashing that society has been, struggling with, I think, probably over the last decade. right?
Okay.
So
I think there are ways to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I think the way that he went about doing it, like I said earlier, it's like it's the goodness of God that leads people to repentance.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you go out and you see a trans person and you see a gay person, your first thing, you want to own the libs basically, or if you want to belittle them and how you talk to them.
Yeah.
Like, although you're right, but you don't have love in that situation.
Yeah.
You're convincing and here's the other thing. Your voice is so big.
Yeah.
So once you say what you said to this transgender or this gay person, once you say this to them in that way, you got all these kids who think the same exact way as you now.
Yeah.
Whether you're right, they don't see it as, oh, he's just right because the Bible says this, this, and this. They're like, I want to own the lib too.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where the hate part comes in.
Yeah.
Because now you got these kids talking to other people in that same manner.
And very condescending.
And there's proof of, because I've talked to so many people who support him.
Yeah.
You know, I have friends that support him, and they've talked to me in that same way.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to own me, even though I'm not a lib. Like, they're trying to own me in their tone, right?
Yeah.
And how they're saying it. It's like, just because we don't agree.
Yeah.
So, and I've had conversations with some people, and it's like, I feel like I'm talking to Charlie Kirk. Like, they're talking like him. They're saying exactly what he says. But all I have to do is ask one extra question. If I ask one extra question to them, the conversation's over, because they're only going based on what he's saying, not based on what they've researched on their own.
Right.
They're not going any deeper. And so the Bible says, you know, they honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me.
Yeah.
He has said he believes in God. He knows the Bible. I've heard him preach the Bible. But then on the other hand, it's like, bro, you're disrespecting people.
Yeah.
And so some people don't consider it disrespect. You know, some people don't consider it disrespect. They're like, it's the truth. It's just the truth. And I'm like, the word of God is going to divide anyways.
Yeah.
Speaking the truth is going to divide anyways.
And it's unpopular.
Right. That's why he said love.
Yeah.
You know, if it's at all possible, if it's up to you, be at peace with everyone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I can have hard conversations with people and still be at peace with them, because I'm not going to disrespect them while I'm talking to them.
Of course.
Right? We're going to educate each other. We're going to come to you know, we may disagree at the end of it, but, you know, I still let them know, like, I'm still showing them love. Like, I'll never disrespect them in the conversation. Yeah. And I think he did so much of that, and kind of like how he targeted, you know, black and brown people. You know, I hear people are saying, well, you don't know the context of what he's saying. And I'm like, I watched the whole video.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You don't think he was doing it to enlighten them and let them know, look, don't fall for the victim agenda, where I feel like that's really been planted as of recently, especially these last few years. Just because you're black around doesn't mean that every cop hates you, right? That every that every systemic thing in place is there to watch you fail. Mm-hmm. You don't think he was there to, I guess, undo some of that brainwashing?
We didn't need him to do that. I don't need him to do that. He doesn't live our life. He doesn't. Yeah. The only thing he sees is, like, from the outside, I don't want, don't be a victim. Pull yourself up by your bootstrap. Yeah. But if you really think about it, and I was talking to somebody just yesterday.
That's where he lacked emotional intelligence.
Right. Yeah. And he told a lot of half-truths. Yeah. Right? So, yeah, the black community, there's violence going on there. There's killings going on there. There's killings going on in every culture. Yeah. Right? It's high in the black and brown community. I understand that. But you say it in a way that is so, like, almost as if, like, they're just born like that. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And it's like, you can almost feel it, like they're just born like that. It's just their culture. Mm-hmm. Right? And you said the victim thing. It's like, they are victims. Yeah. We are victims. We were victims. Like, now, don't get me wrong. Christ is going to transform your heart and your mind, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why people are able to make it out. People are able to move forward, right? And we kind of need somebody to be a helping hand to pull you out of that, right? So I work with youth. My goal is, like, when I'm working with youth, I'm pulling them out, right? Because they are victims. They're victims to the system. on an individual level, if I'm just talking to them directly, I'm going to be like, bro, you don't have to be a victim. This is how we can get out of this situation. And I give them game and I give them wisdom, man to man, right?
What's the system, though, that's set them up today in 2025 to fail, though? Because it's different from what we dealt with growing up.
Is it?
Yeah, absolutely. There are more black and successful millionaires today, right? Obviously, just in the athletic world alone, but even if you talk about across all industries, whether it is even in the courtrooms, there are a lot more, darker skinned individuals. And if I'm going to blame anything, right, not anyone, but anything, on how toxic the culture has become, it's got to be the entertainment business, right? 100%. I can think, but that's on us.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
Absolutely.
Who owns those industries?
That's the thing, right? No, so listen, that's the thing. They're not owned by Jewish men anymore, right? We're not. There's no big label or machine, promoting these guys anymore. This is a bunch of independent artists, right? Filmmakers, even if you want to go there, right? That now have access because of the internet. This is where the internet comes into play, right? Like they have access where they can tap in from different sources, right? Yeah. And promote whatever they want to promote. Right. And so, like, if you look at what hip hop was when we built it, like it was to talk about, right, like oppression, and it was fire. I mean, I miss them days. Right. Today, it's the complete opposite, and it is willingly these gentlemen. And even women, right, that are going on the mic and they're talking this nonsense. So I think it's on us what we allow. We have allowed and supported ignorance for far too long, right? If you look at it across entertainment, whether it's music, films, things like that, the internet's been an open source for all of us to just promote whatever we want to promote. Yeah. Right. Hip hop, when it started back in the 80s and stuff, was all about, overcoming oppression. And it was a true message behind it. Yeah. You can't say that today. Right. Right. You can't even say that on the Christian side, unfortunately, because I've already told you what I've been hearing and seeing and experiencing on the back end on that too. Right. Like it's all being ran as a business. And it's all about filling the seats. It's no different. It wasn't like the early 2000s where there was a Jewish man or a machine, right? A big label behind you to be like, no, you got to look a certain way. This is the single, but this has got to be the single. Now it's all independent, right? Yeah. Independent artists and these smaller camps that are uniting and putting out whatever message because they're just worried about tours. Yeah. They're worried about merch and they're worried about filling their pockets. Right. They don't care about what sort of aftermath there is on the streets because of it.
I think that I don't disagree with that, right? Yeah. To a certain extent, I don't disagree with that because that individual has a responsibility. Yeah. So when I have these conversations, it has to be there is an accountability side to this on the individual, and then there's a general side to this, right? And the general impact that this has had on our community, right? Those are two different things. Right? I can have a conversation with somebody about the type of music that they're making. What I mean, though, is the damage is done. Yeah. Right? So for 20, 30 years, you've had people who are not like us, who own the production companies and decide what they're going to produce. Yeah. Right? And so they decided that we're going to use one of the most powerful tools to get into every black and brown home with negativity, drugs, gangs, violence. Yeah. Not only that, we're going to team up with the CIA to say, hey, let's filter drugs hip-hop into these communities, right? Yeah. Let's do that. Then they partner with the judges and the legal system to say, hey, let's privatize these prisons so that we can lock up as many people as possible, right? Yeah. So then what happens? Now you got kids growing up without fathers. We got kids growing up without any structure. Those kids are now producing music. Yeah. You don't got the production companies don't got to do nothing. Now they have the internet. Those same kids are not producing music. Yeah. Because they don't have anybody in their lives anymore. But it started way back.
It did, but I think we're forgetting to account for the most important person, right, or role in all of it. Satan himself. Right. I mean, of course. So I don't think, especially because of the Charlie Kirk situation, we're seeing, and you see what happened on the train, right, in Charlotte with the young lady. It is becoming like a race war almost again. But we're losing sight as believers to identify this isn't about racism, right? This is about up and down, good and bad, good and evil at this point.
Okay.
If you look at, to your point, who's pulling the strings behind those cynical individuals, right, that were orchestrating these things in the industry, that's got to be Satan himself.
We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers, principalities, rulers of the darkness, governments.
Right.
So 100%, it's all demonic. It's all demonic.
Yeah.
But here's the problem with the church, right? So the church will say abortion is demonic.
Yeah.
Right? It's wrong. I agree with them, right? But then they'll say, you can say that that's spiritual warfare we're dealing with right there, right?
Yeah.
So what the church would do is they'll say, well, let's have a march to bring awareness to it. Let's maybe open up some homes so that the young ladies who are thinking about this, they have some security and may change their mind. They're literally being the hands and feet of Christ. My church does this right now.
Yep.
They're literally being the hands and feet of Christ, right? Because it's the goodness of God that leads us to repentance, right? When it comes to the black and brown community, it's just the devil. It's demonic, right? And it's like, I know it is. It is. But then they'll skip over it to fly overseas to go, what is it called? Mission. They'll skip over it to go overseas to go on missions trips. They'll skip the hood, go overseas to mission trips, right? Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, where's being the hands and feet of Christ here? In the same way you were there for abortion. They're like, oh, we don't need to make this about race. Yeah. That's what the church will say. Let's not make it about race. It's not about that. And I'm like, well, when you go from slavery to segregation to crack in the 90s, fatherless homes, music, all these things directed at a specific group of people. Yeah. You don't have to say it's about race. Okay, let's just say these people. Yeah. Right? The devil's targeting these people. And we're not being the hands and feet of Christ for these people. Yeah. We kind of just say, hey, that's just demonic. And let's not make it about race. Right? And so that's my issue right now. It's like, how do we do that?
Yeah, no, and that's a good point. I think it comes down to just intimidation, man. You know what I mean? I think this is where Christians lack boldness and courage. I think they're intimidated to go into those neighborhoods.
But when you hear Charlie Kirk come out and say 13% of the population is committing 58% of the crime, as a white person, you're like, I'm not going to go be the hands and feet of Jesus over there. Right. Are you kidding me? Yeah. They're violent people.
Yeah. But see, that's public. That information has been out there for years. Right?
It's a false. It's false.
If you Google search right now, that's what's going to come up.
It's false. So.
But with that comes, though, emotional intelligence. I think emotional intelligence is way more important than any of that.
Okay. So it says 13% of the population commits 58% of the crime, right? And then
you just triggered Google.
The Google Nest is going off right now. They're saying 13% of the population commits 58% of the crime. Yeah. But they're not. They also don't say that. I think it's 80% of exonerations are of black people. So that just means that people are going to jail for crimes and are being exonerated from those crimes. So you don't talk about that. Yeah. Why are people being exonerated? Why are that many people being exonerated? That's one question. The second question is 13% of the people aren't committing those crimes. Yeah. It's more like 1%.
Yeah, I read.
Because if you're saying 13%, you're saying every black person in America is committing crimes.
I read that under 5%.
It's a tiny percent that's committing a lot of crime, but at the same time, to say that we're all committing the crimes is disingenuous. It's a half truth. Maybe a quarter truth in everything that he said.
Which if it's a half truth, then it's a whole lie.
Exactly. So, but now you got all these people who follow you, Charlie. Yeah. Believe that, and now they have a certain opinion about me. they won't be the hands and feet of Jesus in those situations.
Yeah.
Unless you're coming to them, they're not going to you. Unless you're believing the way they believe, they're not messing with you.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's my best argument for that.
Yeah.
And that's why I say that's a racist talking point.
Mm-hmm.
It just is, because it's a lie.
It is. We can't get too. I don't think we can spend too much time in it though, because then that's exactly what Satan wants, right? At some point, we have to call it what it is still, and it's like it's a matter of up and down. The same with one thing that is happening right now that I'm noticing is becoming a little dangerous is a level of idolatry right now with his passing. It sucks. It's unfortunate, but to already call him, I've heard already a few pastors online loosely call him an iconic.
Yeah.
It's a little wild. It's a little bit
the
much,
idolization of Charlie Kirk, and I just think God is just showing the true hearts of people.
Yeah.
And this is a separating of the wheat from the tare right now, because you're seeing how people idolize him.
Yeah.
Right. And then on another aspect, you're seeing how people hate him.
Yeah.
And their hearts are happy that happens to him. So I was like, all right, I know your heart and I know your heart.
Yeah.
Right. It's exposed right now.
Yeah.
Which is now a good time for us to be the hands and feet of Christ.
Yeah.
Because people are in limbo right now.
Yeah. So what's the number one way to do that? How do you combat that today?
How do I combat that?
How do you think we should do that as
I think that people have to speak truth.
Yeah.
Like real truth, not just like sound bites. Like show the truth in love. Like what I just shared to you, that's the truth. Like if you really look at it, if you go deep into it,
yeah.
That's the truth. I think.
But for someone who doesn't want to hear all that, someone who doesn't have time to be like, yo, let's have a serious conversation and sit down. How do you reach that person today? I mean,
like if they're a follower of Charlie Kirk, like if they're like,
man, if they're a follower of Christ, right? But yes, they're divided, they're conflicted, they're angry, probably even because they're being brainwashed by some of this stuff. Last week, I'm not, you know this, I don't tap into social media. I don't watch the news, but all last week with everything that was happening, I was watching the news more than I usually would. And I was getting angry watching it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, yo, this is why people go crazy sometimes.
Right.
Like, that's why people sometimes go, and act out the way they do, because, yo, this stuff is, every network had its own agenda. Yeah. The verbiage was different, right?
Right.
It was almost like, this person is trying to, worsen the situation. This person's talking about them like, he was, Billy Graham all over again.
It's crazy.
And it was just so much. It was overwhelming. So it's like, man, how do you just cut through all that noise?
I think that number one is read your Bible.
Yeah.
Like put Charlie Kirk aside for a week. Put him away for a week, right? And strictly just read your Bible, right? And let God expose these truths to you on how to love people, right? And if it matches with how Charlie loved people, then all right. But I don't think it does. Yeah. So that's number one, is like read your word, get in the word, and find out how Christ loved and how Christ handled these situations. Number two is study the things that he talked about, right? Like all the claims that he made, like study them and go deep. Ask yourself why. Like I did that, and I was like, I was trying to figure something out. I figured out what that was, and this had to do with our conversation about like race in America. Because I used to think the same exact way, like don't be a victim, like pick yourself up by your bootstrap. I had that whole conservative talking points, like I was that, but then I started asking myself, but why, right? Why are so many kids listening to this type of music? Yeah. Okay, they listen to it because they don't have anybody to tell them any different. Well, why don't they have anybody to tell them any different? Well, a lot of their parents are in prison, right? Well, why are their parents in prison? And I just kept going back, all the way back. It's like, okay, understanding the wiles of the enemy and the arrows and the darts that he throws. Yeah. It's spiritual. The Bible talks about it spiritual, but they have physical manifestations. If we sing to break every chain, break every chain. We sing the song, break every chain. Okay, what chains are we breaking? Right? The chains of death, yes. The chains of hell and the grave, yes. But there's also chains within a system, a physical system in our world that needs breaking. For instance, and tell me if I'm talking too much.
No, you're good.
When slavery was happening, if you sang break every chain back then, during slavery time, would you just be talking about the break every chain in my heart? Or would you want to figure out how to break that system that had people enslaved? So that's what God did. God revealed himself to people like Harriet Tubman, some other people, revealed himself to her and them, and they then took that information that they received spiritually and applied it to the physical world and began rescuing people out of that system.
Yeah.
We're not in that type of slavery now, but there are people are still in bondage right now. Yeah. And so it's like, all right, we want to break every chain.
Yeah, but do you think that's because of the tone of their skin, or do you think this is just a generational thing? Because I'm telling you, bro, especially because you know where we are, right? It's a very nice area. We feel like in Beverly Hills over here. But my God, do some of these white boys be rolling around with them windows down thinking they're in the hood, bro, listening to the same music that the kids from our hood listen to, right? And they pick up on the same behaviors. I mean, we can call it what it is, right? Like, but the reality is
that music is powerful, though.
It is, but it can make them just as dangerous, right? Because the influence is there. It can make them just as dangerous, right, to act as someone who really grew up with nothing in the hood. Right. There's always been that saying, a man who has nothing to lose is a dangerous one, right? I concur. I think that a man that has everything to lose is a dangerous one. Yeah. So when some of these boys, right, some of these white boys out here, they have a full ride, for instance, right? But they're being influenced by the things that, they want to be a part of. It can make them just as dangerous.
I agree with you on that. That's a smaller level. Yeah. I don't think it's like, because, they go through that and then they come back to their nice, all their nice things, right? Yeah. Some of the
they do, but then I feel like they suffer more mentally because it's almost like an identity crisis. Right. So, and unfortunately, that's why we see, right, like a lot of the mass shootings and things like that, they happen to be some of these kids who, yes, you're right, when they get home, right, everything is well taken care of, everything's in its place, but they don't identify with that. They would rather live, in complete chaos.
Yeah, I mean, I have a heart for that, but like I said, that's on a smaller level, right? And so the bigger level is, right, you have a mass shooting here, right, at a school, right? There's been like 10 kids that'll die in these mass school shootings, which is crazy, right? But then you go to like the inner city or the hood, it's like people die every day, B. Yeah. People get shot every day. Yeah. Right. And so, my heart is to change that. I would love to change that and like pull people out of that. And I would love to pull those kids out of, what they're going through now in the suburban areas as well. But what your question was, is it like a skin color thing? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Does it pertain to your skin pigment, or is it more of a generational thing? I personally think it's a generational thing. I think that this generation, right, and I'm talking, so my daughter's about to be 15. I think her generation is the one, all of them that are struggling with an identity, right? Where my son was only 8 years old, I think they're catching on already very early on what they like, what they don't like, what makes them feel safe, and what and what doesn't. With her, that gap, dude, like they want to take risks, very big risks. But on the flip side of that, there's also this sense of, I want the truth. right? Because we see it happening at a lot of these retreats.
Yeah.
Kids her age are, unashamedly throwing their hands up, praising God, right? Laying hands on each other, all these things. Opening the Bibles. Me and my wife went to go get some coffee. This maybe a few months ago, and there was a group of girls, probably somewhere between like 15 to 18. Like this is 6:00 in the morning on a weekend. That were sitting there, all talking about what they just read, and I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
Right. So like it's like two opposite sides of the spectrum. You have this group of children that are just trying to find their identity, but then on the other side you have the other kids, same age, right, that are just really hungry for the truth. And I think almost the same as with the other kids. They don't have coordinates to how to get there. You know what I mean?
Like when you say other kids, who are you referring to? Like the hood, like that type
No,
of?
man, because that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think it has to do so much with anyone in the hood, right? I think the internet changed everything, right? Everything. You don't have to live in the hood to experience it.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have access to it.
Right.
Right? You can be living in the burbs,
right,
but because you have GPS on a smartphone now, you can go and see your boy now, right?
Yeah.
Like you connected with him via social media. Now you guys are best friends.
Yeah.
You go to this house. Now you get a taste of that life.
Yeah.
Right? You can. And so I think it's not a matter of different shades of color, but I think it has to do with just that generation in general. They're either, I think it all boils down to they want the truth. There's one group of them that are struggling with their identity and coordinates and how to find that truth. And you have the other side of it that are trying to relive a revival, right? That are trying to get to that truth with urgency because they know that time is running out.
Okay. I think I'm picking up what you're saying. And I think like what we experience out here is a little bit is different than like I think there's just two different worlds right now we're experiencing.
Yeah.
Like where we live right now compared to where we grew up.
Yeah.
It's night and day. Just completely different universes right now.
Yeah.
And so yes, you have kids that are gonna like everybody's gonna go through. So everybody goes through something. Like at some point, identity, whatever it may be. Kids in the burbs are gonna go through their stuff as well. But you kind of were asking about the race piece when it comes to the stuff we were talking about earlier. You know, the violence, the drugs, the fornication, all these things stacked up. It's hard for me to talk about it because.
You got 5 minutes to talk about it.
No, you need more time, man. Come on. You don't gotta go to sleep.
Shit.
You don't gotta go to sleep.
The kids do for school tomorrow.
I do believe there's a concerted effort. Like skin color is a thing, right? It's an identifier of who people are.
For what generation? Because that's what I'm trying to get at. I don't think her at her age as teenagers, they see that. I think that's something that our generation still holds on to.
No, it's not, because I when I go to the schools and when I have my students, they're not thinking that way. They're still in that way that how we used to think.
Yeah.
And especially in inner city. And I think it's because there's just more trauma, right? Like everybody deals with something. Suburbs, you deal with something, but I think there's just more trauma being experienced on a day-to-day when it comes to the hood, still to this day.
Yeah.
That part hasn't changed. And unless somebody goes in there and pulls people, pulling people out, to me, it's intentional.
Yeah.
To me, it's an intentional thing. And I do think it has to do with who people are. I'll leave it at that.
I think, there has to be a level of accountability for the parents. They're adults.
Man to man, woman to woman, yes.
Yeah.
But you see what you're doing though right now? You're saying that there has to be a level of accountability. Like I agree 100%. If I'm talking to somebody, a man or a woman, like, this is how we're going to get this fixed. You have to be accountable for your actions.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to try to lead them to Christ, right?
Yeah. But I'm talking about like at home, right? It all starts at home, and a sense of accountability at home. As a mom, as a father, do better with your kids.
Take the physical part out of this.
Yeah.
The spiritual aspect of it.
Oh, absolutely.
So, of course, we say, hey, do better.
Yeah.
Take care of your kids. Like, we'll tell anybody that directly, right? But I hear a lot of conservatives do say this, but it takes the accountability off of who put this system in place, because you can do good for your kids. My parents did good for me, and they were the ones who like shielded me and kept me, just like you're saying, it's on the parents, right? In those situations, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's how I was able to get out. But now, as a Moses figure, I guess, like I was able to get out. Now I look back and I'm like, man, that looks like Egypt. And it's like, all right, well, if that looks like Egypt, if I'm Moses, and I'm just saying that, if I'm Moses because I got out and I go back in, I'm going to pull people out. But Moses attacked the whole system of Egypt.
Yeah.
It was a physical thing. Egypt fell. Yeah. And so when I say we need to stop, we can say accountability, but we also say, all right, what about this whole system that is making it from the baby level to the time they become an adult, that keeps this thing around them unless somebody pulls them out? How do we collapse that system right there? Yeah. The way that Moses did it when he got out. Yeah. So that's my thought process, and that's the best way I can explain it. I don't want to keep it just like, oh, this is a spiritual thing, because the spiritual thing, it has to be a physical, tangible thing that happens from the spiritual piece. Yeah. It has to. Everywhere in the Bible, it shows that. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
That's good.
We got like 30 more minutes.
Hell no, we don't. I'm tired. No, that's good. That's good. Well, I think that above all, we have to lean in on God. I think above all, we have to lean in on God. Right. Because the reality is, it's not going to get any better. That doesn't excuse us from trying. I think we should continue to try. Because there's souls at stake.
100%.
But we can't get so defeated with the idea that, we're doing something wrong, right? Yeah. As we're trying to bring out more souls, like, man, why didn't that work? Why didn't that work? Because as long as you know you're doing what God has called you to do,
we got to plant seeds. Just keep planting seeds and he'll water.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. But we got to move our feet. Eshon Bergen, he said it the best. He was like, I learned how to pray with my feet. And it's like, yeah, pray with your feet, 100%. If every believer prayed with their feet, imagine that.
You know what's something I started modifying as of lately into my life? Doing more and saying less. It things that don't even pertain to the things of God, and I'm still doing more and saying less. The whole saying of like, oh man, you going through what? Damn, man, I'm gonna pray for you, bro. And then you go back home and you forget to pray for him. Nah, I'm gonna do it right here, right now. Right here, right now? Yeah, right here, right now. Why not?
Absolutely.
The other day we went to go get some food, and the guy was like, man, when you get a chance, you can just leave us a review. And I'm like, I'll do it right now. I want to get in the habit of that. Yeah. With everything. Get it done. Look, because it's me being present. Yeah. It's me taking into awareness, right, what your needs are, right? And then me being there for you, following through on my word. Right. And if I can do that with the smallest of things, then there's no reason why I can't do that.
It becomes a habit.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So that's something that that I've implemented into my life, man. And I mean, hey, I encourage others to do the same, especially like if you're wondering how to plant that seed, start by doing more and saying less.
100%. So over and over again in Scripture, God, tells us to be the hands and feet of Him, right? Yeah. And we've mentioned it like maybe 4 times already in this conversation that we had. So I'm gonna read a couple of scriptures. to close us out. But it said God defends the cause of the fatherless and the widow and loves the foreigner, giving food and clothing. You are to love those who are foreigners, for you yourself were foreigners in Egypt. Deuteronomy 24:17 commands us not to deprive foreigners or the fatherless of justice, to leave gleanings for the widow, fatherless, and foreigner. Isaiah, learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow. Over and over again, he's saying the same exact thing. Do not oppress the widow or the fatherless, the foreigner or the poor. You know, God is a father to the fatherless, a defender of widows. God watches over the foreigner, sustains the fatherless and the widow. Religion that God, our Father, accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. The last one I'll give you is God commends those who fed the hungry, welcomed the stranger, clothed the needy, and visited the sick and in prison. He says, whatever you did for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. And that's Matthew 25, verses 35 through 40. So he's very clear as to like what he wants us to do to be the hands and feet of him. And so when you say, what can people do? Read the word, read those scriptures, and then start moving on those. And don't forget, guys, there's a genocide happening right now in Gaza. So while we did witness an assassination, we did witness the lady on the train. We witnessed some horrific things this week. Remember Gaza. Remember what's happening over there. Look it up. Know it. I've spoken to people that have no idea what's going on over there. And I'm like, how do you not know? And I know it's the algorithms. You know, if you research it, they'll show you more of it. But look up Gaza. Look up what's going on there. And I just want you guys to have the same compassion that we have for the people that we've seen be killed here. Have the same compassion for them. Speak up for them, because that's what God is telling us to do. Don't turn a blind eye. Pray for them. I mean, we can't do much here other than speak up and pray for them. So let's at least do that. Let's at least do that. So,
Amen. It's good. All right. Till next time.
Peace out. Peace out. Peace out.